There are places time forgets. Not because they're unimportant, but because they're too precious to fade. Thompson's drugstore was one of those places. The chrome-edged counter, the red vinyl stools that squeaked when you spun them, the way the afternoon light would catch the syrup bottles just so, turning ordinary cola into liquid rubies. That's where our story begins. Not with a bang, not with a tragedy, but with the slow, sweet drip of strawberry syrup on a stainless steel mixer. And her. Always her. Clara Jean Whitaker smelled like vanilla and ambition. She could scoop ice cream one-handed while balancing 3 sundae glasses in the other, all without smudging her lipstick. I was just a farm boy with sunburned ears and a nervous habit of jingling the change in my pockets. But every Friday after football practice, I'd walk those 14 blocks just to watch her wipe down that counter like it was the most important job in the world. The summer of '57 was hotter than the devil's front porch. We'd sit out back after closing, our feet dangling over the loading dock, sharing a nickel Coke straight from the bottle. She'd tell me about her dreams, California, art school, a studio by the ocean. I'd tell her about the 100 acres my daddy promised me if I stayed put. We never talked about how those dreams pulled in opposite directions. Not until the night the carnival came to town. The Ferris wheel lights reflected in her eyes like scattered diamonds when she turned to me and said, "Jimmy Tucker, I'm leaving September 1st. Just like that. No warning. The straw in my Coke suddenly tasted like disappointment. I should have said something poetic. Should have dropped to one knee right there in the sawdust. Instead, I kissed her. And for 3 seconds that stretched into eternity, the calliope music stopped. The world stopped. Then she pulled away, her strawberry lipstick smeared across both our faces, and whispered, "Why now?" What followed were the longest 37 days of my life. We stole moments like kids stealing candy, sneaking out to Lover's Lane in my pickup, dancing to the jukebox after hours, pressing love letters into each other's palms with shaking hands. But time has a cruel way of speeding up when you're desperate to slow it down. The morning she left, it rained. Not some romantic drizzle, but a gully washer that turned Main Street into a river. Her train ticket was damp when she pressed it into my hand. "Come with me," she begged, her tears mixing with rainwater on our clasped fingers. And God help me. I almost did. But duty has a weight that young love can't lift. The farm. My father's bad heart. The unspoken promise that tied me to that land as surely as the roots of the old oak in our front yard. I watched that train disappear into the gray distance, the taste of her goodbye kiss still on my lips. The next week, I took over the drugstore soda counter. Figured if I couldn't be with her, I could at least be where she'd been. Learned to make her famous strawberry shakes just the way she liked them, extra thick, with 2 cherries. Life moved on, as it does. Married a nice girl from church. Raised 3 kids in the house my grandfather built. Buried my parents, then my wife. Watched the drugstore become a video rental, then a cell phone shop. But every September 1st, no matter where I was, I'd find a soda fountain and order a strawberry shake. Let the taste take me back to where it all began. Then came the letter. 53 years to the day after she'd left. The return address said, Santa Monica. My hands shook so bad I could barely open it. Inside was a photograph of a dark-haired woman standing in front of an easel, the Pacific stretching endless behind her. On the back, in handwriting I'd have known anywhere, I found my ocean. Did you find your 100 acres? No signature. No return address. Just a phone number. The phone rang 12 times before a voice I hadn't heard in half a century said, Jimmy. And just like that, I was 17 again, with sticky fingers and a heart too big for my chest. We talked for hours. About her art gallery. About my grandkids. About the husbands and wives we'd buried. About roads not taken. Turns out she'd married some hotshot lawyer out there. Lasted 8 miserable years. I kept waiting for him to look at me the way you did over a milkshake, she confessed. Her laughter still had that soda fountain sparkle, even through the static of a bad connection. 3 months later, I stood on a California beach watching the sunset paint the waves gold. Beside me, a silver-haired woman with paint under her fingernails squeezed my hand. "We're quite a pair," Clara murmured. "Two old fools who took the long way home." That was 10 years ago. We live in a little cottage near her gallery now. Some mornings, when the light hits just right, I'll catch her looking at me while she stirs her coffee. And in that glance, that fleeting, precious glance, I see every version of us that ever was. The kids sharing a soda. The teenagers stealing kisses by the Ferris wheel. The middle-aged strangers who found each other again. The old folks holding hands as the tide rolls in. Funny thing about time. We spend so much of it running, towards something, away from something, when what we're really chasing is the moment we can stop. Stop and look around and realize, this is it. The 100 acres. The ocean view. The strawberry shake shared with someone who remembers when your hair wasn't gray. So if you're listening to this in some quiet kitchen, watching the light fade on another ordinary day, look closer. That's not just sunlight on the formica. That's gold. That's time giving you back what you thought you'd lost. That's life whispering, here. This moment. This is the one you'll want to remember. And if there's someone whose face still comes to you when you hear an old song, pick up the phone. Dial the number. Order the strawberry shake. Because the most beautiful love stories aren't the ones that never end, they're the ones that get a second act.